Hi. Okay, guys. It has been ages since I've uploaded last. A lot of things have been going on, so I haven't really been able to focus on the things I want to focus on. Now that I have a lot more time, now that things are settling in life again, I can focus on YouTube again, so that's awesome. I decided, since I'm still working on Vanakato, my big long-term project, I started getting like bogged down and my motivation really went down because I've been working on this game for ages now, and I decided that maybe a good cure to that lack of motivation would be to just put out another game. And it doesn't matter how stupid it looks, doesn't matter how like low-key disappointing it is, just get it out and prove to yourself that you can actually publish something. Well, not publish, just post, you know? Publish sounds like too official. And I did that with two other games, which I will show, I'll show right here. Obviously, like, they look horrible, but the fact that I was able to finally post something just gave me that extra motivation, like, I finally passed this phase that I've been looking forward to for 4 years now. This time, I decided to participate in a game jam, and I decided to do it with my sister because she's also actually into video games. And I told her, like, you make the art assets, I'll do the coding and everything else, and we'll just collaborate with each other on the game jam. Spoiler alert, it got dropped for 3 months or something because I had like a lot going on in my life. Like a week ago, I decided to pick that project back up because, you know, it's already like half finished, might as well just fully finish it. I went back, played the game. It was really boring and really confusing. When I tell you guys, game design is so hard, for me at least. Okay, let me explain the game now. This game is basically about this player who is stuck in an infinite hallway and they need to find a way to escape it. And the way to escape it is to somehow unlock this vent in this infinite hallway so you can just escape through it. How do you unlock the vent? You find a screwdriver. However, the screwdriver is in a safe, so you need to find the code to the safe. Okay, even worse, there is an evil entity chasing after you throughout the game. So you need to find a way to like dodge them and like, you know, sate them and stuff. Sate, is that a word? Anyway, like you need to feed the monster so it doesn't chase you and stuff. Anyway, sounds like super interesting, right? The game is not that interesting, but it's okay, that's fine. So, I've explained the game to you. In terms of game design, I didn't want to like use time to find out how to guide the player through the game because I just wanted to get it over with and publish it already. So I basically just had an instructions menu where I just explained the whole game. So yeah, I mean, that's a solution, right? Because otherwise that would have like taken another extra day to like come up with a nice fluid way to nudge the player on where to go, and I wasn't about to do that because like the game is so short, the whole game could just be a tutorial already. So I was just like, let me just explain the whole thing already. Okay, so let me explain some kind of interesting parts of the game. So the hallway mechanic, right? If you remember, I said that the hallway moves on infinitely. It just keeps going and going and going. Now, the absolute beginner may think, okay, let me just copy paste the same hallway over and over and over again. Or like just draw a long, super massive long hallway. But then let's say the player walks so much that they reach the end of the hallway, what do? Solution, you draw a small segment of the hallway and then you can have like one other copy of that hallway to the left and one other one to the right. What I did, and like obviously if you find a better solution, please let me know in the comments or on our Discord channel, which has been dead for ages because I haven't been posting, but that's okay. Please interact with it so it can come back alive. Anyway, so my solution was to have two box colliders, one on the left side and one on the right side. And when the player enters the right collider, the left hallway goes to the right, and vice versa. So I can show you the code now. I mean, sure. Okay, so this isn't the best logic, but basically when you enter the box collider, we have a loop hallway class attached to the game object that has the box collider that checks which direction the player is going. Okay, so we have a left collider and we have a right collider for each hallway. The left collider has a boolean that's marked true and it's called left teleport. We also have a distance to teleport. We'll get there. Okay, so we have our trigger enter method that is triggered when the player enters the collider. So when we enter the get target hallway method, we take the first element in our hallway array. So the first element in this array is the box collider's own hallway. And if the player enters the left teleport, meaning it's moving towards the left, and we look for the hallway that is to the most right of the player and we return that so we can move it to the left. Well, first we need to return it through this method. Okay, so we get our target hallway that needs to be moved, and we get the distance between our box colliders transform and our target hallways transform. These lines are made to check if the player is just like quickly moving back and forth the colliders in the same hallway. So you wouldn't want to aimlessly transform one hallway to the other side if the player is just like moving back and forth between the left and right teleport. Then we have our vector 3 new position, which is our target hallway's position, and we add that to our distance to teleport. So distance to teleport for some reason is 53. Basically, I manually like looked at how far the target hallway should move to the right or the left, but instead I could have just wrote a method that takes the width of our hallway and times it by 3. So it goes 1, 2, 3, because we have 3 target hallway game objects. Let's move on. So yeah, that's the hallway looping script. Also, since Unity does not have persistence for its game objects, you need to store that information somewhere. So when the scene gets unloaded and reloaded, the position that it was at after the player interacted with it is saved and loaded. Again, since I just wanted to like post this project and get it over with, I put both the player's last saved position and the hallway's last saved position in the same player scriptable object. I should have separated it, but I just did not care. So basically, why did I use a scriptable object? Because I'll get to this and I'll explain this a little bit more, but I have the game manager, a manager for the whole game, in one separate scene, along with the main camera and the like main UI, like starting game, exit, whatever, I have all that in one scene, and I have the rest of the game in another scene. And the hallway is its own scene, and the separate rooms are its own scenes. So you can't just have like one regular mono behavior script to save the transform of the hallways. You need to have something that's going to be accessible through every single scene. And there's different ways to do it. You could just have a regular class that has a list of transforms that you can refer to, or you could use a scriptable object, which is better for like visual debugging, for example. And I just like scriptable objects more because they're just like fun little tools. But yeah, again, you could just use a regular class, but I just wanted to use a scriptable object because it's just more fun, and also it was already there. I already made it for the player, and I just decided to like dump all the hallway how do you say it, saved positions in there too. Anyway, so when the scene is unloaded, its most recent vector positions are saved. When the scene is loaded, its most recent saved position vectors are loaded. Yeah. All right, so because I wanted some form of replayability for the game, remember there is a code to the safe that you need to find so you can unlock the screwdriver, so you can unlock the vent and win the game. So I didn't want to have the same fixed code every single time, because then the player would already know what code to add into the safe. Every time you replay the game, just randomly generate the code. How do I do that? So first I had a UI that showed the notes that you've collected throughout the game. so you don't have to memorize it yourself or write it down on a piece of paper or something. And then I also had like real sticky note game objects that you could find throughout the game. And because I wanted to make it a bit spookier, there was a 50-50% chance that the sticky notes would be loaded or not loaded. So then you have more incentive to like go through the doors over and over again and da-da-da. One thing I would change when it comes to the sticky note logic is I would not allow it to be loaded if the player already entered that door, if that was the most recent door that the player entered. Because the way it's set up is there's a 50-50% chance that the sticky note gets loaded. Now imagine the player just enters and exits the same room over and over until the sticky note gets loaded. That's just boring. And there should be an incentive for the player to move around the game even more and go through the infinite hallways even more. So I would have added that logic. Besides that, yeah, that's it basically. The way I set up my game manager is this. First of all, what is the game manager? This is where I put my winning game logic. This is where I put my losing game logic, where I put instantiating every single important manager in the game manager. This is also used as a state locator pattern. So basically what that means is the game manager is a singleton object, but it also has references to a bunch of other really important managers that you can access. So basically that's really important because I do have my game manager in a separate scene all of the time, and I also have all the managers in that scene too. And a really easy way to access all of that is just to make the game manager a singleton. And I'm sure it's like completely fine to have like 1 or 2 singletons in your game. You know, the bad thing about it is that it's accessible everywhere, so it's really easy to muddy up the structure of the code. But if you just use it really sparingly for really important things like game managers, I'm sure it's fine. Also, tell me how you guys organize your game projects. If there's a different way to do that, that would be really cool. But I don't know. So far, this is like my golden rule for like structuring the base plan of my code, because it's like the game manager persists throughout the whole game no matter what scenes you reload. The game manager is always going to be there, and you don't need to copy that game object to every single scene ever. It's just nice to have that one persistent you know, game object there all of the time. I can also briefly talk about the monster mechanic. So basically, to spice things up a little, I have a evil entity throughout the game that appears 2 times in the game. So first in the hallway, it's a hole in the wall that you have to feed every 60 seconds. And if the 60 seconds passes, then this big like monster head starts like floating and chasing you. And if it touches you, you lose the game. Anyway, all the code is on GitHub, so I'll just like add the link below if you're interested in that. But also the enemy does appear in the rooms that you enter through the hallways. So if I remember correctly, there was like a 40% chance or something that this enemy just like pops up randomly, and you need to press a button really, really fast to avoid it. I think I made the button way too dark. I feel like I should have not done that. I feel like people aren't going to be able to tell that that's the E button. But anyway, okay, whatever. Basically, that's the game. I am going to keep working on a bunch of little projects on the side along with my big game, which is like almost done, by the way. I just need to implement some side quests, do some playtesting, polish my main mechanics, make sure my data saving mechanic is doing it. Okay, now that sounds like a lot of things actually, but I promise it's almost done considering literally everything else I had to do before then. I'm actually participating in another really fun game jam. It's called the 20-second game jam. Take a shot every time I say game jam. But yeah, it's really interesting because the concept of having a game that lasts 20 seconds is really cool. And I think that restriction really forces you to create a really good mechanic. So yeah, I think I'll actually post the process of making that game jam next. I'm not gonna tell you guys when, because I remember last time I said when I'm gonna post the next video, I said it would be like in a week or two, and then like what, almost half a year passed. So I'm not gonna say when, but the next video will probably be about another game jam. Oh yeah, by the way, if you can recommend me a good microphone, that would be awesome. Cause I got this now, so that's cool. But I need a good microphone now too. Please, not too expensive. I just graduated and the economy is doing horribly. Yeah. Oh, I forgot. I'm also creating my own website because it's about time, guys. It's about time. CVs are overrated. It's time. It's the era of the websites. So, yeah, I've been making a website. I'm like a complete beginner at it, but I just learned about Three.js and Vite, and those are really cool. So I can show you what my website looks like so far. If you want, I can also like make a video about how I created my website because I really want to do something cool with it. If you're interested in that, let me know so I can talk about the whole process of it, or like how in depth you want me to talk about it. So yeah, so take care, have a great week, and see you later.